EgyptAir has released new flights connecting Cairo to the United States. I'm Gus with Egypt Adventures Travel. I create customized itineraries for trips to Egypt, connect travelers with vetted and trusted local Egyptian guides and companies, and I also lead private tours and group tours myself. You can send me an email at any time. My email address is gus@egyptadventurestravel.com. Before jumping into the new flight, let's talk a little bit about EgyptAir. EgyptAir is Egypt's national carrier, and for domestic flights within Egypt, it's my top choice. It's the best option to fly anywhere from Cairo or another city in Egypt to another location in Egypt. Internationally, though, you have a lot of different options to get to Cairo. I personally often fly out of Minneapolis-St. Paul, my home airport, and go on Delta or Air France or KLM over to Europe and then take one more flight down to Cairo. So there's a lot of different options. Travelers can fly Turkish Airways, they can fly Royal Jordanian. There are tons of different carriers that go internationally from the United States to Egypt. But what's different about EgyptAir is the only carrier that goes non-stop from the USA to any city in Egypt. Folks in Europe have plenty of options, especially when it's seasonal, like in the wintertime, and they can go to the Red Sea with a lot of nonstop options. But for us in the United States, or for folks in Canada, EgyptAir is the only choice that we have if we want to go nonstop, having no layover from the US over to Cairo. As far as quality goes, in my experience, EgyptAir is a decent carrier. I'd much rather be flying somebody like Delta or Air France, but EgyptAir is a step above any budget airline out there for sure. And they don't charge you for things like checking baggage or for meals, and the service that I've had is always friendly and is always really good. The only big drawback to EgyptAir that I've heard of, and it's not a drawback for me personally, but for some people it is, it's a totally dry airline, meaning they do not serve alcohol on board, and you can't drink alcohol that you might bring on board with you. So having a glass of red wine with dinner or taking a shot of something to help you take a nap up in the air is not a possibility on EgyptAir. So now let's talk about the flight options for taking EgyptAir nonstop from the US over to Cairo. The new option that they added just recently is a nonstop from Newark, New Jersey over to Cairo. This is already offered alongside their JFK to Cairo option and their option from Dulles International Airport just outside of Washington, D.C., over to Cairo. So that brings us up to 3 US American nonstop flights where you can fly without having a layover from the US over to Cairo. There's also a nonstop on EgyptAir from Toronto for those Canadian folks who are watching, or for Americans who are able to quickly get up to Toronto from their home airport and then take that nonstop over to Egypt. You've probably noticed that the day and time options for the nonstop EgyptAir from Newark over to Cairo are pretty limited. So also looking into those options nonstop from JFK and from Dulles International Airport are good ideas too. I use Google Flights to look up a lot of the flights that I take, which then brings me directly to the airline's website and I book with them directly. I never book with a third party, especially when I'm doing international airfare. Or you can also go to EgyptAir's website itself, EgyptAir.com, and you can book the flight directly on EgyptAir's website and search for it right from the get-go. But if you use Google Flights, eventually it will redirect you to EgyptAir when you pick those flights you want to book using Google's search engine. So there you have it. There's a bunch of different nonstop options to fly from the United States over to Egypt, all on the East Coast right now, so hopefully we add some other options later on. But I'm excited that there's this new option from Newark, New Jersey over to Cairo nonstop. I'm Gus with Egypt Adventures Travel. Thanks for watching. Until next time.